The member for Cunningham.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, as we look at a bill such as the one before us today, the Appropriation Bill, which is an adjustment, a half-yearly adjustment to this government's last budget, it is incumbent on us to ask the question that those in our community, when faced with government budgets and their adjustments, ask, and that is, who is it that you are caring about? Who is it that you're looking out for? Who is it whose welfare you're concerned to address in these measures? And I can say there is nothing more telling about this government and where its priorities lie than that budget and these bills to make adjustments to that budget. Deputy Speaker, there are people across all of our communities at the moment who are struggling to make ends meet. They've had stagnant wage growth. They've seen the nature of employment fragmented, so many of them are cobbling together their household budget from casual work or contract work or irregular opportunities to do what might be called the new economy, which is not delivering any security for them. They're facing the reality that what's coming in terms of income is stagnant, if not declining, and at the same time they're seeing significant increases in their cost of living. And so this is a real challenge in households across all of our electorates. One would think it would be something that a government would be seriously addressing, because we know the foundation of prosperity, both productivity and economic growth, is driven off the back of ordinary everyday households and workers. That's the reality. Those opposite often say that small business is the driver of economic growth. Well, who feeds small business? Who are the customers of small business? Those customers are the workers and communities in which they operate. And they suffer because the people who are their customers are saying, you know what, this week I can't afford to go out for dinner. I can't afford to go and buy that extra outfit for the kids. I can't afford to go and buy new shoes for school. We'll have to make do. They're the people that we should be concerned about in this House, because they're the real economy in each of our electorates that are the lifeblood of that economy. People earning enough to have a decent life, going out, spending their money in their local businesses, supporting people, local businesses who probably, the parents who run it are probably in the same footy team as their kids, all of that. That's the reality. And this budget does nothing to address that. In fact, it contains measures that will make it worse. And I think that it's really telling, Deputy Speaker. I've had a lot of locals, as I'm sure many of my colleagues have on both sides, raising this serious challenge that they're facing with me. And so I thought I might put a survey out there to enable people more broadly to give me feedback across the electorate on things such as the condition of the wage and income in their household and their cost of living pressures. And I tell you what, I put it out late Friday afternoon. We're here Monday morning, and nearly 800 people have already completed that survey. Now, if that doesn't tell you that this is an issue that is real to households across our community, I don't know what can. And it's been very telling of those 800 that have replied so far, and it's still running if anybody locally wants to participate. 67% of people indicated they had no real change or, even worse, a decrease in their income in recent years. So that absolutely shows the flatlining that's going on with wages and incomes in our households. 30% of people indicated housing and mortgage costs were putting pressure on their family budget. Over 70% indicated that electricity prices were putting pressure on their households. 40% indicated doctors and specialist visits. 30% pharmaceuticals and the cost were putting pressure. 55% indicated private health insurance costs were putting pressure on their family budget. And then there were as well a range of other services that I surveyed on. 30% broadband costs are a real problem. And when you think how critical broadband cost is to participation in our economy and society, and particularly if you've got kids, that's a real problem. 56% of people said grocery prices are a real impost, and the same number said their house and vehicle insurance were a problem. I gave people a list, and I tell you, it was a little bit heartbreaking to see how many people didn't say one or two things were putting pressure on the household budget, but a whole range of things. And this reflects the fact that, as I've said, their wages and incomes are stagnant, and these things continue to go up in cost. It's really important to make the point that governments can and should play a significant role in this space. And one of the areas, obviously, around which on this side of the House we could argue that the government has been not only less than helpful but an outright problem, is around people's capacity to organise and press for wage increases. We know that from international data, more highly unionised countries actually have higher outcomes and quality of life because people have better wages. But what we've seen here is the government refuse to intervene when the threat was made to penalty rates. And yet for so many of these families, the capacity to earn that extra money over penalty rates was what they relied on to make ends meet. So there are important things that a government can do around the input side of these household budgets, around getting people fair, just wages, ensuring they're able to advocate on their behalf to achieve that, around making sure that the structure of our decision making on minimum wages and things like penalty rates and so forth don't disadvantage people and put them backwards. We've seen no action in that space. But also governments can take action on the cost side of those household budgets, and we have seen in fact the government make decisions that have only increased those pressures. And I would particularly want to take the opportunity to acknowledge that many of the locals who've responded to my survey have made exactly this point. And a lot of them are on pensions and express great concern about the measure in this particular bill before us that continues to pursue removing the energy supplement for pensioners. And many people are very concerned that that decrease in their pension, so we're not just talking about incomes coming into households and wages and earnings, but also for people on fixed incomes and pensions, then the measure in this bill will directly decrease what's coming into the households for those pensioners at the most difficult time when prices are continuing to go up. So, Deputy Speaker, the appropriation bill, which seeks amendments to the government's budget, has not learnt the lessons that it should have learnt from the budget. Its priorities are still about getting a big tax cut to the big end of town, delivering to those who least need our support, not delivering to those who really need it.
The debate is interrupted in accordance with Standing Order 43. The debate may be resumed at a later hour, and the member for Cunningham will be given an opportunity at that time to conclude her contribution.